Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, Jillian Sidoti.
Hello, Jeffrey.
It's exciting to see you. It's been a
Yes,
while.
you too. We haven't done a weekend little video in a long time.
Or a podcast,
Yeah,
or like anything where we actually saw each other. I mean, we
I
still
know
talk
that's
all
true.
the time, but we haven't actually seen each other. So
No,
that's kind of nice.
no.
We should probably do this more.
Yes.
And actually that's the reason I wanted to do this video today, and I'm really excited about it because um in this video we're going to share with everyone why we do what we do and why we think it's important.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you're so passionate. You're just like, yes. I'm gonna
No,
sit here. I'm gonna
I
sit
want to give.
here and chew my gum and pretend like I
I know. I
care.
really should stop chewing them, girls. Um, it's
It's
good.
fine.
I threw it in my mouth right before we went on line too, and I don't even know why. I bought a pack of gum yesterday at the dollar store. We generally speaking don't have gum in the house at all, and I left it on the counter. And I just drank a cup of coffee. And instead of like being like a responsible adult and going to brush my teeth, I threw gum in my mouth.
You know, I don't even know the last time that I had gum, to be honest. But this is very far off topic. This has nothing to do with our why, unless
No,
you're passionate about chewing gum, which I don't believe you are, since you never have gum in the house. But
no, right.
so listen, everyone. The reason that we wanted to come on today is because I think that Last Life Ever is the most important thing I do. I don't know how Jillian feels about it, but I really do believe this is the most important thing I do, and I've been um, disappointed, honestly, that we haven't gotten any more traction, and I blame us.
Oh, yeah. The only people to blame is us because
Yeah,
you didn't do anything.
it's clearly us. I mean, we haven't even released a podcast. I mean, it's completely on us, right? But the reason it's really important is because it's one of those things that, like, whenever I talk to people, this is what I talk about. I mean,
Mhm.
I think it's the same for you, but like literally, like I go out and people will be like, "Hey, tell me how to invest in real estate," and I'll be like, "No, let's talk about Last Life Ever. It's really important."
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's
It's
literally what happens. Or I'll go on a podcast and someone will ask me a question and it'll be like, "So how'd you get started in real estate?" And I'll be like, "Let me tell you about the time I had leukemia and how that caused me to realize that you only have one life." and like this really is your last life, so you have to do it right. And I totally deflect it. This happens all the time, even on gigantic real estate podcasts that will remain nameless until it comes out.
Yes. For me, yeah, professionally speaking, this is the most important thing. And I say professionally speaking as if we make money, but like I do want to make money. Some of the things we have successfully done is we launched although we have some administrative things we have to finish. We launched the Last Life Ever Foundation, and last year during Christmas gave away over $14,000 in cash and gifts to a variety of people throughout the United States, actually throughout the world, because
Yeah.
we gave money as far as Africa,
Yes, Central
America,
America,
Central
South
America. Yeah,
America,
yeah,
Africa.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was really great.
Yeah. So,
Um,
and to me, honestly, I've been a lifelong philanthropist. I don't think a lot of people know this about me, but I was actually the youngest person ever on the board of directors for the American Cancer Society. I didn't have cancer or anything like that. I just had, I just decided that I wanted to do fundraising. And so they put me on the board in New England.
at 16, tell them
At
that part.
16.
16.
Yeah, at 16. And I did that, and I also raised money for St. Jude's Children's Hospital when I was
Oh,
younger.
holy cow! Did you see this?
What?
The Inspiration 4 post I made. Did you see that they raised $200 million for St. Jude's?
Oh my God.
Two
That's
hundred
insanity.
million dollars. Yeah. Elon Musk
Wow.
actually just announced yesterday he was contributing 50 million to the cause.
Who's contributing 50 million?
Elon Musk, yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. St. Jude's Children's Hospital, not to go off topic here, but St. Jude's Children's Hospital is really an incredible organization because they focus on no one pays. No one pays.
Yeah, that's why they
Um,
need $200 million, right?
yeah.
Because they
And
spend a lot of money and they have a big staff and a hospital and everything's free.
Right. And Danny Thomas, when he started it, it was just, one small little building in Tennessee, and they ended up expanding into this huge campus. I think, actually, to be honest with you, I think my name is on a brick somewhere there.
I'm not gonna go look for it because I mean I have to go to Memphis.
Yeah. So, but no one
You
pays,
have a
and then
halo right now, by the way. It's pretty
oh,
cool.
on me, yeah. And then no one pays, and no one pays to stay there either, because I think I don't know if it's St. Jude's themselves or the Ronald McDonald Houses, but those Ronald McDonald Houses are another great organization. And I never stayed at a Ronald McDonald House personally, but there's two times in my life where my kids have had to be in the hospital. But and one time we had to actually get a hotel room because we couldn't stay at the hospital. And that was, at the time, it was for my older son Tyler. He was just born. And at the time, that was really stressful because it wasn't like we had a lot of money. So now we were spending like $150 on a hotel room, while our kid was in the hospital. It was just like overall completely stressful. So, if you guys are, thinking about where you're going to give before the end of the year, those are two great organizations. Although it sounds like St. Jude's doesn't need all that much money right now.
Well, I think they probably do need money still. So I don't think I would discourage people from donating to them. But I just
Ronald McDonald's
really cool.
House.
Yeah, I just thought it was really cool. Like the inspiration thing, it's all dedicated. The inspiration, for people who don't know, is that they just recently landed back on Earth, the first completely private orbital space flight. So 4 people, not astronauts, not governments. One of which is a nurse at St. Jude's.
Oh, that's so cool.
And that was part of the deal. Like, the guy who paid for the mission, a relatively rich guy, paid SpaceX to send 4 people up. He went up. He paid for a nurse from St. Jude's, and then an entrepreneurial type person, and then a person randomly selected from people that donated to St. Jude's.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so the whole thing's dedicated to St. Jude's, and and then there's a Netflix series on it that made me literally weep. I was crying so much when I was watching. Like, the nurse is she was a childhood cancer survivor and treated at St. Jude's, and it became her lifelong dream to go back and work for St. Jude's as a nurse. And then actually now she's actually a PA. She's not even a nurse. So she actually exceeded her lifelong dream, which is a very last life ever sort of thing to do, right? Like, if you follow your passion and you go do these things that are important to you, great things happen to you. Like, I'm not saying that everyone who wants to be a nurse at St. Jude's is going to go to space, but that's really what happened to her. She became the first amputee in space, the first childhood cancer survivor in space, right? Because these are people that are like typically unable to go to space, right? Like, you can't become a NASA astronaut if you have leukemia. I know, I looked into it. Can't do it. They're not going to let me. but
I'm going to actually turn this conversation real quick because I want to go back to Last Life Ever Foundation. And, our big thing is at the end of the year, we do, we basically run our own, another great organization. We run our own little Make-A-Wish. It's more like, it's not so much Make-A-Wish because we're not that well endowed.
No, we don't have anywhere near that kind of resources. Ours is more, I think it's more like a micro grant organization.
Yes, micro grant. Yes,
where we can do things that are so small that other charities would miss them. Right.
Correct.
Like we can give someone a $50 gift card to Walmart.
Right. And that's basically what we did. Yeah. Jeff, I got to tell you this. This is the irony of everything, right? So Clement Cunningham and I last year, just an FYI, we're going to be calling for nominations for Last Life Ever Foundation soon. So if you have somebody you want to nominate,
probably next month, but
in the next month, because we want to get started early this year, because last year we got started like late.
Yeah, and people got their stuff in January, which I'm sure we were super
disorganized.
But it would be way better to give people Christmas gifts at Christmas time.
Yeah, exactly. So we were a little disorganized last year, and we're hoping to correct those things this year. But part of the stress of it all was that Clement Cunningham and Jeff and I and Nancy Tegeter too. Actually, Nancy and I spent like hours at the dollar store making and then subsequent hours making stockings for foster children, 200 stockings we made for foster children in San Bernardino. But that wasn't my point of the story. My point of the story is Clement and I were supposed to go buy gift cards for a variety of different people. So we went to Walmart in Hemet, which is about 12 miles from here. We went to Walmart in Hemet. It's Christmas time now, mind you. So Walmart is crazy. We spend probably a good 45 minutes standing at this, one of those stands where they have the gift cards and pull gift cards, thinking about who we're going to get this one for and this one for and this one for. Finally, we get all the gift cards. We have a bunch of other stuff too. We probably have about $1,000 worth of merchandise and gift cards. We get into the line. We go up to the top of the line. The woman rings in every single one of these gift cards, and I go to pay, and she says, "You cannot buy gift cards with a credit card." And we're like, "Oh my God. I don't have cash. I don't
You
have
didn't have $1,000 in cash on
I,
you?
d- I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, I know I've bought gift cards here before. Like she's like, no, we do not accept credit cards for gift cards. I'm like, okay, all right. You're going to have to take all the gift cards off and I'll just buy the merchandise. Oh my God, the poor people behind me, like I thought were all going to lynch me because because I just held up the line that much longer.
It's not a stressful time at all when you're shopping at Walmart at Christmas time.
No. So and the other thing is too, the people behind me were fighting with each other about who was first in line too. So then there was that whole thing. All right. So fast forward to last weekend, my car got broken into and my wallet was stolen. Now, I'm an idiot. I understand, for leaving my wallet in my car, but that doesn't mean that gives somebody the right to break into my car in my driveway and steal my wallet. They proceeded to go to Walmart in Hemet. And guess what they bought with my credit cards, Jeff?
Oh, I knew where this was going the whole time, actually. Yeah, so this is a real issue. I've actually had people buy gift cards at Walmart with my stolen credit information as well.
Yeah.
But I think it was because you bought a bunch of them, right? Like.
Oh, whoa. No. They bought $1,700.
Yeah.
It's
No.
more
Yeah.
than what I was
No, I hear you. I mean, I don't know what to tell you about that, but I will say this: in the future, if we don't get them at Christmas time, it might be easier to get them. So we'll have to get them early this year.
Yeah, that's right. So
Yeah.
be on the lookout for that, guys. If you know somebody who's been going through a tough time this year or just tough time in general, maybe they lost their job, maybe they have an illness in the family, maybe they had a big disappointment, or I don't want it just to be people who are down on their luck, or you want to recognize somebody who's done something amazing for you and it's just deserves that recognition. We want you to nominate that person.
Yeah, and we'll have a nomination form ready soon for that, and we'll make another video and post about that specifically. But the thing I like about the Last Life Ever Foundation and about Last Life Ever in general is that we are changing people's lives.
Yes.
And this is actually why I'm disappointed and simultaneously most excited about Last Life Ever. I'm disappointed because I think we can impact 1 million people's lives and not 5 people's lives.
Yeah.
20 or 100 or whatever we're at. It's definitely not 1 million, right?
Right.
We have not impacted 1 million people's lives.
No.
But we have impacted people's lives. And I know this because people that got grants told us as much. We paid a couple people's rent when they didn't have money to pay rent. Like that changes somebody's life. Or I forget the guy's name in El Salvador that we paid to fix his car. He was a taxi driver, got into an accident and couldn't work, right? During the middle of a pandemic. Those things change people's lives. But we also have like random people come up to us. Like I was in Dallas not that long ago and somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, are you Jeff from Last Life Ever?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "You changed my life," and proceeded to tell me the story about something I barely remember doing on our channel that caused them to go on a trajectory where they changed their diet and exercise regime and lost 50 pounds and their whole life was better because of it. And I thought, man, I should probably hang out with this person because they could change my life, right? But that's the thing. Like, Last Life Ever is about helping people achieve their goals, their hopes, their desires, and following their passions. And you know, we've done things like we wrote this amazing book, which we don't promote about enough, right? About how to discover your life's purpose. And like, we need to get that out there more, because the thing is, like, yes, we don't make any money, and that's our own fault too, right? Like we should make money, not because we need the money, but because if we made the money, we could pour it back into the mission. Like, we're never going to reach 1 million people if we don't start making money. So if people have ideas of how we can make money, they should reach out and tell us, because we need
we're always looking for help. And the other thing is too, I want to tell you guys, you know, Jeff and I are on the front lines of, you know, Last Life Ever. It's our brand, it's our company, it's our mission. However, there's a bunch of people behind us who are super supportive. First of all, our spouses are super supportive of us, Derek and Becky. And then also, and honestly, it couldn't happen if we didn't have their support. And then we have, like I mentioned, Clement, Nancy, Jason Miller, they all help us with the foundation and things like that. And
there's so many people too, that like, even people that go out and like post something in the Facebook group, or they put something on their personal page and they tag the Facebook group, or they even just do hashtag Last Life Ever, or they share one of our posts, or they just watch our stuff and then tell other people about it. All of that stuff helps. And it matters, because again, the goal here is to help people live well. And I really believe, and I've said this 100 times, but I probably should say it 1,000 times, that we owe it to ourselves, you know, not just to ourselves though, but also to our families, to our communities, and to the world, to live that best version of our life.
Yeah. And here's the thing, and I'm going to get a little political here for a second. No one's going to take care of us. No one's going to take care of us. The government is not going to take care of you. There is a complete attack on normal people all over the world, not just the United States. And I feel very normal. I believe Jeff is extraordinary. He's the most extraordinary man in the world. But in the
thank you.
In the sense that, you know, the ultra wealthy are not.
We're just normal people, though. The thing is, we're not super rich. We're both successful, but we both came from not successful, right? Like, neither of us were like handed success. And that's the thing. Like, we had to take responsibility for ourselves to get us where we are. And we know it can be done. Like I went bankrupt less than a decade ago, right?
Right.
Just over a decade ago now. And I had leukemia and nearly died. And then I had melanoma, and I had all this crap happen, and I still get to live an amazing life. And Jillian and I can help people do it. And that's what Last Life Ever is about. It's about helping people figure out how to take care of themselves, and also helping give them a little nudge here and there. That's what the foundation's about. When someone's in a spot where they can't quite do it because they just need a little help, then we can help there too.
And just, and that's the thing. And I'm thinking about one particular person we gave a check and a spa day to last year. And it just made such a big difference in her life. Crying. She was crying. She couldn't believe it. So, and that's the thing. Those are the things. I mean, we're not going to, is it going to change, you know, their entire financial well-being? No, but that.
It might, because sometimes it's all that matters, right? Like, we paid $600 for tuition for a 7-year-old child in Tanzania. That would not have been able to go to school this year if we hadn't paid for it. Like, literally would not have been able to go to school.
Anyhow, guys,
his life.
That's what you guys do. And we're not asking for any money. Jeff and I.
No, we actually take $0 at this point. At some point, if we get more organized, maybe we will. But
we don't take. This is all our own money.
Self-funded. It's mostly Jillian. She's much richer than me. So
I'm also. Well, I don't know if it's that I'm much richer. I'm just teasing you. I've been giving away my money like crazy since I was a kid. It drives to a certain extent. My husband just kind of like goes, "You're going to do what you're going to do at this point." But there is a point in time where he goes, "Are you going to take care of, you know, yourself now?" And I'm like, this is taking care of myself. This is what makes me feel good.
No, and that's the thing, right? Like, there's this like dirty secret out there. Like, like people go, "Oh, that person's rich. They must be greedy or whatever. They want to make more money." But like, I know a lot of rich people, right? And most of the rich people I know don't make money because they want to pile up a whole bunch of dollar bills in their bank account.
Right.
They do it because they want to change their own lives, the lives of their families, and the world. Right.
Right.
Like, they give away more money than most people make.
Yeah.
And that's the reason to be rich. It's like it's like a really stressful thing to have a lot of money, because you have to figure out how to use it productively to make the world better.
I think
It's
I'm
actually really
gonna
stressful.
what's more stressful is not having money.
Well, yeah, no, for sure. I'm not saying that. It's way better than not having money, which is why we want to help people move from wherever they are to wherever they want to be.
Yeah.
And not everyone wants to have a ton of money, but everyone wants to have food and like shelter and and be able to take care of their family. Like, these are really important things. And we want to help people get there as fast as possible.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, Jeff. You and I have talked about this before, is Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So, which I believe in Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I don't think it's a theory. I think it's a fact, right? So, for those of you that are not aware of what Maslow's hierarchy of needs are, it's like you have your basics on the bottom, food, shelter, things like that, things that you absolutely need to survive life, right? And then you move up and it's like love and self-acceptance and all these other things. Well, we cannot have a better world if we don't get the people around us to climb Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because at the very top is enlightenment, right? And you can't get enlightened if you don't have your basics taken care of.
And here's the thing, right? Like this is right down. I mean, like I don't love Maslow's hierarchy of needs because I think it's too rigid. I don't think it's, but I 100% agree. The foundation stuff, like, if you don't have your basics covered, you're not gonna have good relationships. If you don't have good relationships, you're not gonna feel love. If you don't feel love, you're never gonna get to self-actualization or enlightenment. So I mean, I agree with it in the general theory, right? But what I do know is this: like, we all have to get to the top of the pyramid, because that's where you can make the difference for other people. Right. If you don't have your own shelter, you can't help other people get shelter. Like, so like the first step in life, and this is something that like Dr. Tony told us on one of our early episodes of Last Life Ever, right? Like, the secret to life is to figure out how to buy back your time as soon as possible. So like, to me, that's like the first step, right? Like, take care of the basics so that you never have to like be forced to do anything to take care of the basics. Like, if you take care of the basics, then you get it so that the basics take care of themselves. Once you get past that, then you can go through all that other stuff and really live an extraordinary life. And then you can really give back and create a legacy of positivity that goes through the whole world. And, we're very fortunate. Jillian and I are both fortunate in where we are in our lives. And we want to give that to other people. That's the whole Last Life Ever philosophy in one statement, I think.
So yeah, guys, we're gonna switch topics here for a second, because I know Jeff has some pretty exciting news, and I want to talk about that exciting news.
It is exciting, but I'm like nervous to tell people, actually.
Okay, well, I wouldn't be. I'm very jealous and excited for you. So, but before we get to that,
maybe someday you can be like me, Jillian.
Yeah, someday. So, but in the comments below, if you guys would tell us, what you'd like us to see, what you'd like to see from Last Life Ever, and also tell us what you're going to be doing to give back to your community, because we love to have great ideas. And yes, I'm going to steal your ideas if they're good ideas. So please put them in the comments below.
Right. And we expect you to steal our ideas when they're good too.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because that's the whole point, right? It's about making the world a better place.
Absolutely.
That's really it. And all right. So, okay, I'm ready, Jillian. I'm ready.
Okay. So Jeff and I, as you know, we went on a trip of probably, honestly, one of the best trips of my life, and which is weird because
no, it's not. Everyone has the best time of their life when they hang out with me.
Yeah, well, I and it was just it was a strange. I don't know if it was strange.
That was a joke for people that don't know me. Right
yeah, exactly.
I was just kidding.
But it was an excellent time. And it was weird for me because I've lived. So it was in Puerto Rico, and I've lived in Puerto Rico before. So I kind of knew the lay of the land.
You spent way more time there than I have.
Yeah, and we actually stayed there for 3 weeks. And by the way, when you travel with, that's really loud. When you travel with, hold on one second, guys.
See if we can have a helicopter fly over next.
When you travel with your family, for 3 weeks, going from, place to place, you do have some ups and downs. I won't say that it was completely perfect, but it was an amazing trip. And on one day, Jeff's business partner, Brian, leverage.
That's the second best day of our trip, actually.
The second best day of the trip?
The best day was when we had the ball of string attached to the Jeep.
Oh my God. All right.
No, go ahead. So Brian is awesome.
Brian is awesome. He actually rented a boat. And I had no expectations. I just knew I wanted to go on a boat, right? And I was like, listen, let me come on the boat with you. Like, I was like, he's like, of course.
The night before, you were like, okay, you guys are going on a boat tomorrow? Like, I'm coming.
Yeah, not only did I say I'm coming, I'm bringing my 3 kids and husband, okay?
Yeah, I hope not. In fairness, it was just going to be myself, Brian, and my other business partner, Travis. It was just going to be the 3 of us on this charter boat going to an island and drinking. And Jillian decided to invite her entire family.
Yes, I totally pushed my entire family into the situation.
Yeah, but I'm so glad you did because it was awesome.
Oh no, I literally, I think what that taught me is to be assertive and try to get what you want in life, because otherwise you're going to miss out on great opportunities. Because if I said like, oh, that's nice.
Ever lesson.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I learned a huge lesson from that, because I would have never done that. I was just like in a place of comfort with you guys. Like, I mean, we'd been at a restaurant, we were drinking, we were having a good time. And I was like, can I please come on the boat with you? And can I bring my 3 kids and my husband? I promise we'll be good.
It's pretty much how it went. And then you said, oh, and I'll bring food.
I told him I'd bring all the food and alcohol, which I did. Yeah, so I brought all the food and drinks, and we got there, and I didn't know what our expectation was. I didn't even know how long we were going to be out there for. And what happened next was amazing. We basically took this boat ride out to a vacant island, Kublarita, right?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. It's an island off the coast near Fajardo.
Yeah.
And it's just a like little sand island with some trees. And we we anchored out there like what I'd say, I don't know, maybe like
10 o'clock.
30, 40 feet of water at 10 o'clock in the morning, like 100 yards from the shore or something like that, right? Maybe a little less. And just like out there, like dive off the boat, like swim, drink, float on a giant raft, go to the beach if you want. And there were other people there, like, maybe 10, 20 boats spread out on the island. We weren't the only people there, but it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Really, really great time.
And honestly, guys, my kids, like my oldest son, like became super into like the boat and understanding how the boat worked. And I saw him light up like I haven't seen him light up in years. My other 2 kids, my middle son, just kept jumping off the boat and was just having a fantastic time. I mean, everybody.
Your son caused you to lose the hat that you're wearing.
Oh yeah, the hat I'm wearing on my head. My youngest son buried it in the sand on the beach and thought he was like creating a treasure hunt for us.
Well, that's what it ended up being. It just wasn't the most fun treasure.
No, it wasn't. My middle son ended up finding it. Tom found it for me. But everybody in my family just had like this amazing experience. It was truly like one of the best days of my life, if not the best day of my life. And that's another thing too, you guys. I am on a mission to try to change how we view best days of our lives, because we often think about weddings or births of children or graduations or something, but I want you to really think about those events. And then I want you to really think about how stressful those events actually are.
Significant, right? Like somebody says, what's the best day of your life? And you're like, oh, my wedding day or the birth of my child, whatever. I get that. That is like probably a more significant day in your life than what happened when we're, hanging out on a beach, right?
Right.
But that doesn't mean that beach day wasn't more relaxing and more enjoyable. Right.
Right.
The actual day. Like what's the most significant day in my life? I don't know. When I got married, when I met my wife, when I got diagnosed with leukemia, one of those days, right?
Yeah.
But other than the day that I met my wife, those days were really hard, right? Like the day that I got married, that was a tough day. Like there was all kinds of family drama and all that stuff.
Right. My wedding too was my wedding was
tons of stuff that you have to deal with. And then we got to the hotel at 10 o'clock at night and they had lost our reservation. and so then we're like, well, we need a room. Like we just got dropped off at the hotel, right? Like, and it's this fancy hotel and it's expensive and I'm very poor. I had a single credit card with a $400 limit and the room was like $350.
Oh my God.
So like, I was like, and we're about to go on our honeymoon. And ironically, the honeymoon was a surprise. So my wife didn't know where we were going.
Oh my gosh.
right? And we were going to Puerto Rico. So we
Were
went
you
to Puerto
really?
Rico on our honeymoon. Yeah.
That's so funny. Well,
Yeah.
okay, so this is going to
So
come full
full
circle.
circle on this, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, we got the hotel room. It was fine. And they had a room left, but we ended up in a smoking room with 2 queen size beds. And like, on your honeymoon wedding night, you probably don't need 2 beds. I'm just saying, right? So anyway, we went to Puerto Rico, and we spent 3 days in Puerto Rico, and then we went on this cruise. And so it was our first cruise and our first experience in Puerto Rico. And ever since then, I've been in love with Puerto Rico. We rented a car then, drove around the island, went to El Yunque, went down south to Ponce, places that I had not visited again until when you and I went to Puerto Rico this year.
Yeah.
I've been to Puerto Rico probably like 10 times now, something like that. By far the longest is when we went, because I went for a full month. I stayed right in downtown San Juan, and just like, near the beach, but not on the beach kind of thing, for a whole month. But there was a reason I was going, and you know this, Jillian, but I haven't made it public.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I was going is I wanted to see if I could live in San Juan. I wanted to decide if that was a place I could live. And I made that decision like the 3rd day I was there.
And that decision is?
I can and will move to Puerto Rico.
Wow. So when are you going to move?
December.
Okay. So you're moving in December.
Yeah, like 2 months from now.
So where are you going to live in Puerto Rico?
I don't know.
You don't?
Not
Okay.
sure. That's why
Okay.
I keep going back. So
Yeah.
my wife would like to live in Rincon over on the West Coast. There's a lot of appeal to that. It's very nice. They have great sunsets. It's very laid back and relaxed. So we went there for Labor Day. We spent 6 days over there. I can see why she likes it.
Uh-huh.
I want to live near an airport and like a city and nightlife and stuff like that. So I'm still leaning towards San Juan area. And I think that's where we're going to end up, at least for the first year, since we're probably going to rent. We haven't picked a place yet, obviously, since we don't even know what side of the island we want to live on.
Yeah.
And also, this is a pretty big transition for us. Like, I live in Tennessee. Moving to Tennessee was a big move for us, from Michigan to Tennessee. Becky and I both grew up in Michigan, and we never lived anywhere other than Grand Rapids, or when I was in law school, we lived in Lansing for a little while, but that's like 80 miles away, right? Like and then we still had a house in Grand Rapids, so we kept most of our stuff in our house and just rented an apartment in Lansing. But this is a big move, right? And when we moved from Grand Rapids to Tennessee for 3 months, Becky worked in Grand Rapids, and I lived in Tennessee by myself, sort of establishing ourselves. And we're going to do something very similar again. So,
okay.
Yeah. So the first few months, I figure I might as well be where I want to be, since I'm going to be there by myself most of the time. And then Becky has a big announcement, which I don't want to like ruin for her, so I won't leave it. But I think that she's very excited about some stuff that she's going to do too. So there may be a period of like 6 or 8 months where I live by myself. So we'll
wow. Jeff's going to get in a lot of trouble. So you guys, that's your opportunity to go and visit Jeff down in Puerto Rico. He's probably going to be in the San Juan area, from what I can tell.
Yeah, I think Isla Verde, actually. So like Carolina, like over by the airport.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, again, it might be for 6 months. It might be for a year, but somewhere around there. And I'm excited about it. I'm going to be back in Chattanooga a lot, at least the first year, because, well, one, I'm going to want to see my wife. It's one thing not to be in the same place, but we actually do like each other. So we want to catch up here and there.
Yeah.
And she's going to fly down and visit me a few times. And then eventually, say sometime like at the end of summer, she should be joining me in Puerto Rico, and then we'll figure out where we want to live permanently. So that's
so awesome. That's so exciting. Just to live
it's our last life ever for both of us, right? For Becky and I, this is it. It's been a dream of ours for a long time. One of the things that we decided when I quit working about 4 years ago was that that one of the things that we would do is we'd focus really focus on building enough resources that we could move to the Caribbean within 5 years of when I quit working. That 5 years will be in April. And so we're going to hit our goals. And, it just goes to show you, if you focus on something, you can pretty much bring whatever you need to into your life. So
Yeah, exactly. Guys, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We kind of went in a weird direction, but we
we
just want
did.
to we want to let you know, for those of you that have continued to support Last Life Ever and our mission, we very much appreciate it. And please ask you to continue to do so. And we're going to be relaunching the podcast. We decided to revamp it a little bit because we were doing live broadcasts and that wasn't always convenient for us or our guests. So we're going to be relaunching. We don't have a solid date for when we're going to be relaunching, but
Before the end of this year, though, we'll
yeah,
relaunch with a slightly different format. It's no longer going to be live,
yeah,
but that's okay because most of the people weren't watching it live anyway. We're getting a
no,
lot of people watching it after the fact. In fact,
right,
most people actually, the majority of the listens that we have been on the downloads from the podcast side,
right,
not in on YouTube, not in the Facebook group, although we get some of that too. I
yeah,
will still continue to share the podcast in the Facebook group, and we have about 5 or 6 episodes that we've already filmed that have actually broadcast live in the Facebook group already that we'll be releasing over the next few weeks. So
yeah,
you're not going to have to survive without seeing Jeff and Jillian and the podcast because it's still out there. It's still going to be continuing to be released.
yeah.
But there may be a little gap in time before the show relaunches.
Yeah, and guys, just private message me, Jeff, or the Last Life Ever group or page, whatever. We'll get the message. If you have somebody that you think would be an amazing guest, or you want to be a guest yourself, please just message us. We'd love to have you and love to hear what your story is. We're just looking for people who are doing, extraordinary things that, we can all aspire to do, or even ordinary things that can help us improve our life. Like, again, and we refer to this all the time. One of my favorite interviews was with Marissa Wilkie, my friend, because she taught us all how to sleep better, which is like such a basic thing that so many people struggle with. And, can be such a massive improvement to your life if you can learn how to sleep better.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's one of that actually was a great episode, and it did change how I think about sleep. And I think about it somewhat frequently even still. But there are really 3 categories of people that we really are interested in talking to, and it covers almost everyone when you really think about it. One is extraordinary people doing extraordinary things. So like if you know Elon Musk, he just gave 50 million to St. Jude's, give us a call, let us know. We'll be happy to meet him wherever he wants us to interview him at. Right?
Yes.
Anytime, any place. We'll figure that out, right? So, people like that, of course, we want to interview them. They're amazing. But also like ordinary people doing extraordinary things. So like, if you know someone who started a charity, that's really great. Some of our best interviews have been people that started charities, like Mike Pearson is a good example of that. But it doesn't even have to be a charity too, right? Like some other interviews that we've had that are, ordinary people, but doing extraordinary things are like Dr. Ian Pearson, the futurologist, right? He does extraordinary stuff. He makes these crazy predictions, but he's just an ordinary, regular guy, just doing something really cool with his life. Or I forget her name, but the spaced out doc lady is another person, right? Like,
yeah.
Michelina, right? Michelina Thomas. She's just an ordinary person, but she's helping propel the space race forward and getting women involved in space. And I think that's amazing. So,
We've had so many great. We should do
great guests. So you should
we
go
have
back
to
and
do
listen
like
to
a
all
review of some of our favorite guests and stuff like that, because I loved Wendy Bird. Like I cried during her interview.
Actually, I really liked it when we interviewed the guy that stole my name, Jeff Holst. That was
Jeff.
another really great interview.
He like the way, like just his intuition. Like he talked about his intuition with his son. And for those of you that don't remember the Jeff Holst interview, Jeff's son had accidentally drowned at school or at like camp, something.
Yeah, some
like
kind of
daycare.
like public pool type situation.
Yeah, and the night before, he said he acted differently with his son. He did something that he didn't do because he just had this inkling, this feeling. But then going forward, he started a foundation to help prevent that.
Colin's Hope, right?
Yeah.
So his son Colin drowned, and
Yeah.
rather than like get mad and sue people, he was like, I need to help make sure this doesn't happen to any other parents and
Right.
other children.
Right.
So I'm going to teach kids how to swim. Like most people would be like, let's shut down public pools. He's like, no, I'm going to teach kids to swim.
But then there's 2 other interviews that we did that were totally different, and of course I can see both of their faces and I can't remember their names, which is totally embarrassing. because I'm terrible with names. The gentleman who does the underwater photographs.
Justin Carmack, yeah.
Yeah.
Another person doing extraordinary things. So Justin has a YouTube channel called Critter Hunters, and Justin just takes photos of very small underwater creatures.
Yeah.
And he identifies creatures that have never been photographed before.
Yeah.
And he's actually currently working on a project to, I forget what they're called, but like to identify 100 different, and they're these little tiny like sea slugs. Like there's this, but like he's identifying different species of sea slugs and studying them, doing actual like marine biology. But his story is amazing, right? Like he went on a study abroad and never came back.
Yeah.
Like he just like never been out of the US before. He's from Colorado. He goes to Southern Africa somewhere on a study abroad. And at the end of the 6 weeks with $300 to his name, he said to the professor, "I'm not going home."
Yeah.
And he's traveled the whole world, never going back home. He said he had been back to the US twice to speak at events, I think, or something like that.
But the other one that was similar to that story was Every Man Has Its Story. Mark.
Yes. Well, and they're friends, actually. So
Yeah.
Mark introduced us to Justin.
Yeah.
And Mark is a guy who had a heart attack, went bankrupt, and literally left to go to the Philippines with $400 or $500 to his name, and has reestablished his whole life and started a business there and all this stuff. So,
well, I'm gonna say this was a very squirrel-like conversation.
That's right. But the good news is, Jillian, in about 2.5 years, I'll have spent more time in Puerto Rico than you. I'm catching up.
Good for you. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please put your comments below to let us know who, what we should do for the Last Life Ever Foundation, what guests we should get, and what you're doing out there to be kind to others so we can steal your ideas.
And also, if you have any ideas of places to live in Puerto Rico, you should send those.
Yes, that too. Yeah, or if you have dates that you want to go visit Jeff.
Yeah, or if you know someone that's selling a car. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to figure out when you move to an island that you've never lived on before. So
yes, absolutely.
All right. By the way, check this out. This is the perfect way to end the show.
Sending love to you too, Jamil. Dr.
Jamil. I can't wait to see you soon. I'm going to be talking to Jamil this week, so I'm excited about that too.
Awesome. All right, guys. Everybody have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.